Dragon Ball Superhero is a love fest not only to the history of Dragon Ball itself, but to other superhero franchises, films, and pop culture as a whole. So today, we're going to present not 10, not 20, not 50, 90 Easter eggs, fun facts, and secrets of Dragon Ball Superhero. And thus, the next time you see this movie, you may appreciate it that much more. So leave a like down below, relax, and let's talk about it.
Greetings everyone, Cell here. Subscribe to this perfect channel and follow Geekdom on the social media platforms. That will be all.
So let's get started with the Easter eggs in Dragon Ball Superhero from start to finish. The first one is the opening of the film. The flashback of the Red Ribbon Army and their history is based on the manga animated by Kubota. Goku's Nimbus Cloud, the key tone is purple. That is the original color in the original colored pages of the manga of the cloud. Later on, when the anime premiered, the cloud was yellow, and because of that, in subsequent reprints of the manga, like the full color edition, it's been changed to yellow, but the original color was purple. Then we get to Red Pharmaceuticals, the company that was a front for the Red Ribbon Army. The Red Ribbon Army coming back under a new name is nothing new. In Dragon Ball Online, the Dragon Ball MMORPG, we have the Red Pants Army, which is supposed to be a continuation of the Red Ribbon Army. You could say that this was Toriyama's way of bringing that idea back into the new movie. The third Easter egg is when they're talking about the androids and you see the X-ray shot of the android's hand. This is a tribute to the Chala Head Chala intro from Dragon Ball Z from the Android / Cell saga, where you see the hand being X-rayed and becoming an actual humanoid hand. I love that Easter egg. Number 4, the father-son Kamehameha. Did you know that in the full colored version of the manga and in other depictions of the father-son Kamehameha, Goku's hair is black? However, in the Dragon Ball Z anime, Goku is in Super Saiyan. In this film, they chose to go with the manga colors. This movie pays tribute to the original source material. The CGI intro to the film with the title card literally guides you from West City to Magenta's Red Ribbon base. I did not notice this until my most recent viewing of Dragon Ball Superhero. The next Easter egg is the top-down shot from the camera. This is from Hachimaru's point of view, Dr. Heto's B-robot that we find out about shortly after. This first-person perspective is very similar to the classic Terminator films from James Cameron. And as you know, Toriyama has borrowed a lot from those movies for the Dragon Ball anime and manga, including, of course, the Android and Cell saga. Hachimaru sees his own reflection, which confirms it is indeed him. One of my favorite Easter eggs is this scene right here, which was obviously borrowed from Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Toriyama loves Star Wars, so it makes sense. Remember when Anakin turned to the dark side? On the left, you see the Red Ribbon battle jacket, which is similar to what Staff Officer Black used in Dragon Ball to fight Goku. But this room is damn near identical to the Emperor's room on Coruscant in Star Wars. Did you notice that someone who looks like Trunks is doing a meet and greet with the unnamed superhero character that Gamma 1 was based off of? So in the world of Dragon Ball Superhero, there is an original retro hero that the Gammas were based off of. Gevo is Gero's son that 16 was modeled after. Toriyama revealed this in an interview years ago, but this is our first look at what he actually looked like. Volmi is obviously whom Android 21 was based off of, and she made her first appearance as the main villain of Dragon Ball FighterZ. So now we know that Android 21 is based off of Dr. Gero's dead wife. Also note that this right here, this sequence where the cards are laid out, looks just like the Dragon Ball Heroes arcade game, which many of you have not played, but trust me, it looks just like this. Early Hito models shown here are clearly patched up like Frankenstein's monster, which is also what Android 8 was based off of when Toriyama designed him in the 80s for Dragon Ball. I'm talking about Hachan, aka Ader. In this shot, we see Magenta, who's short like his dad, Both have Napoleon complexes? I think so. In one of the most interesting Easter eggs in this entire film, if you look at the desk of Magenta, we see a picture side by side of Commander Red and Violet, but why are they next to each other? Could Violet actually be Magenta's mother? Red and Violet combined make the color magenta or magenta. So Commander Red slid his sausage in Violet? Does this mean that maybe Commander Red was not short where it really counts? I think you know what I mean. Here we see the heroes that we saw earlier. Note there's the Gamma 1 guy, and the dude on the right kinda has a head like Cell. I wonder if that may have been what helped inspire Cell in this film or even the previous Cell from DBZ. Here we see more battle jackets and a guy who kind of reminds me of Judge Dredd, but that may be a coincidence. Pan's teacher, whom we would later see in the film, is driving the car ahead of Magenta. This was pretty cool foreshadowing that I didn't pick up on until a recent viewing of the film. We all know Dr. Hedo loves Oreos, but did you know that in real life, Oreos co-promoted this film in Japan? They sold Oreos with Dragon Ball characters on them. Check out this picture right here. Look at the upper right portion of this scene right here. Gohan is supposed to be in full power Super Saiyan, but his hair is black. This is an animation error. Not to mention that Goku has a symbol on his gi, which by this point in the series, he did not have a symbol on his gi. Here we have another angle of Trunks killing Frieza. We can presume that this was taken by the original spy robots from Dragon Ball Z. And I guess he kept the video all these years? Okay, bro. Hey, it looks cool. This alien craft you see here in the scene where Magenta is lying to Dr. Hedo about Bulma, they really resemble the same saucers seen in the War of the Worlds classic film. We know Toriyama loves classic films, so this all makes perfect sense. Right here is the only time in the entire film we see Yamcha, Tenshin Han, Chaozu, and Roshi. Notice what's in the front of the car that Carmine is driving. Yes, that is a Magenta bobblehead. It's visible right there. Super mineral water is real, and in Japan, it helps with recovering from hangovers from drinking the previous day. I tried this myself when I went to Japan. Let me tell you, it's pretty damn nasty. The GTH on Pan's shirt could stand for go to hell. Why? Because her grandpa is Satan and her mom is Videl, which is a pun on the word devil. That makes the most sense. Plus there's a devil on the actual shirt. Pan learning how to control her ki and fly is exactly how her mom learned to fly from Gohan in Dragon Ball Z when their love was just beginning to blossom. Of course, in the Dragon Ball Super anime, baby Pan knew how to fly, so either they forgot about that detail or perhaps baby Pan did it instinctually, and now that she's older, she may have forgotten how to do it. Speaking of Videl, her being a martial arts teacher is a pretty cool idea and does go back to Dragon Ball Z when we see her training because she is a legitimate martial artist. But notice the stuffed animals. These stuffed animals are a great Easter egg because they're all inspired from other Toriyama manga that aren't Dragon Ball, such as Kowa and Neko Majin Z, which is sort of a Dragon Ball type of thing. But I have a whole video on that here on the channel. Besides Gohan using Microsoft Word on the laptop, the picture on his desk are from his wedding to Videl, and on the left, a picture of him as a kid and Goku holding him from Dragon Ball Z Episode 2, one of the most wholesome Easter eggs of this entire movie. Gohan studies bugs like he did in DBZ Movie 1, Dead Zone. Dragon Ball is based on Journey to the West. Buddha found enlightenment through his study of insects. Buddha was, of course, the main god in Journey to the West. The ants being referred to as Super Saiyans and turning gold like Super Saiyan is a reference to Darwin's theory that animals evolve when threatened, sort of like how they do in this very own series many times. Our first look at Gamma 2 in the film tells us a lot. This character is a combination of Ultraman and Kamen Rider, two very popular shows that were around when Toriyama was much younger. These tokusatsu shows had a massive influence on Toriyama, and both Gammas borrow a lot from those characters. The English letters in the background are made to resemble comic book font and classic Dragon Ball. Piccolo breaks the fourth wall and can see them, but more on these later. Toriyama based this shark gun on classic World War II era airplanes. Red Ribbon itself, the entire army, is based on World War II armies such as the Soviets and the Nazis. And notice that Gamma 2 is wearing clothing that resembles the Nazis. The upside down L on the Gamma's belt means Gamma in Greek. Here we have another Red Ribbon Army battle jacket, and this one is the same one that Black used against Goku in Dragon Ball. Not just resembling it, this appears to be the exact same model. Piccolo beats up a Red Ribbon soldier and sneaks into the base, like we see all the time in Star Wars. The Easter egg here is not just that, it's the fact that the guy who he knocked out looks a lot like Wild Tiger, who's the guy that Pan beat up in the tournament at the end of Z in the last 3 episodes. Dragon Ball Super Superhero borrows a lot from the MCU and other superhero films, but can you believe how blatantly the Red Ribbon Army base borrows from Wakanda? Wakanda is surrounded by a force field that camouflages it from the outside world. Exactly how this Red Ribbon base is designed. It's blatant and obvious. But trust me, that would not be the last time this film borrows ideas from Infinity War. Moving on, when we see Vegeta on the screen in the Red Ribbon Army base, he's wearing his pink Badman shirt that he wore in the early part of the Android saga when Trunks showed up. Also, take a good look at Majin Buu's tongue. It's blue like in the original manga. In the anime, Majin Buu's tongue was red, but in the original manga, the colored version, it was blue. Like I said before, this film honors the manga in many ways. Did you ever notice that Gamma has a hologram projecting from behind his back that shows the English words that we saw earlier when he fought Piccolo? This is a brilliant way that they made something that wouldn't make much sense make scientific sense, and it's freaking awesome. I did not even notice this until like the 4th time I saw the movie. The round chamber that contains Cell Max looks remarkably like a variety of things like Majin Buu's containment unit, a Saiyan space pod, the Death Star, and yes, a giant Pokeball. Remember the Majin Vegeta fight where Majin Vegeta put Goku against the rock? During the fight with Goku and Vegeta in Dragon Ball Super Superhero, this time Vegeta is the one who has his back against the wall. Beerus loves ice cream, but what kind of ice cream? Not just vanilla ice cream, he loves vanilla super. What does that taste like? When Piccolo goes to Karin Tower, we see, placed atop of it, Goku's Nyoibo, aka the Power Pole, which connects Karin Tower to the Heavenly Realm. Did you notice that Yajirobe here is wearing the exact same clothes that he wears in the future timeline? We don't see him wear these in the regular timeline to my recollection, just the future timeline, and that to me is interesting. That blue dragon that you see right there on your screen, this was pulled from a Toriyama cover art piece of the Dragon Ball manga from many years ago. Look at this awesome freaking YouTube reference here. Notice that the watch collection has 70k, but the Gohan and Piccolo videos have the least amount of views. Check out the comments on the right. Can you make them out? What does that say? If you can, please leave a comment down below and make sure you like the video now because we're not even done yet. We got so much more to go. Is it just me or does this Red Ribbon guy look an awful lot like John Cena? Maybe it's just me. Notice that the Red Ribbon Army symbol here projects into the sky like something very familiar. Yes, it's literally copying the bat symbol. Gohan's epic entrance here is reminiscent of Thor in Infinity War, and I love it. During the fight with the Gammas, Gamma 1 busts out this fire kick that looks a lot like Fei Long's kick from Street Fighter with a little bit of Paikuhan, aka Paikon's technique. However, this is the Inezuma kick that we see in so many anime, including Gogeta Blue doing it in Dragon Ball Super Broly. It's a signature anime jump kick and it's awesome. When Gohan turns Super Saiyan and tosses the glasses away, this is literally inspired by when Clark Kent throws his glasses away to become Superman. When Gohan transforms into Ultimate Gohan, he clears the entire cloudy and thundering skies completely, exactly like how he did in Dragon Ball Super when he sparred with Goku. One of the greatest freaking scenes in this movie. There's a whole lot of wrestling moves in this film, and here's the first one. Gohan delivers a legitimate DDT, the way that Jake the Snake Roberts, Raven, John Moxley, etc. do. I thought this was freaking awesome. Notice the way the camera's position here is exactly how Gohan looked at the end of the film when he used the same technique. I didn't even pick up on this until multiple viewings. Another wrestling move as we see Gamma busting out a drop kick. The scene with Gamma 2 and Piccolo on the train really reminds me of the Spider-Man 2 battle between Peter Parker and Dr. Otto Octavius, and I thought that was a great tribute. Here we have yet another wrestling move, the giant swing. When Piccolo becomes Orange Piccolo and he transforms into that incredible power, you see the tree of Planet Namek on his back because when he taps into that power, it's representative of his Namekian roots. This was revealed in the Dragon Ball Super Superhero novelization. Bullets flying off of Orange Piccolo like that is really borrowed from Superman, who did it many decades ago for the first time. Notice the green crate here behind Dr. Hedo. It looks like it says Cuba. Did Fidel Castro help fund Cell Max? When Magenta reveals his body, I can't help but think that it reminds me a heck of a lot like Cyborg Tao Pai Pai from the end of the original Dragon Ball series. Similar technology, of course, and similar ideologies behind Tao and Magenta. Remember when Gohan is trying to find his glasses and Piccolo realizes that his eyesight improved when transforming? This ties into the end of the film and is great foreshadowing when Gohan Beast was able to directly hit Cell Max in the forehead from a faraway distance at the end of the fight. So his eyesight not only improved, but it improved dramatically when he became the Beast. And speaking of Cell Max, his design is obviously meant to resemble Second Form Cell, which is Toriyama's favorite version of Cell. When he was writing the original manga, he was told by his editor Torishima that it looked ugly, and that's how we got Perfect Cell. But Toriyama, now in 2022, showed some love to his favorite version of Cell with Cell Max. Easter egg number 65 is one that everyone remembers. Gohan has trouble catching the Senzu, just like how in DBZ he couldn't catch the Potara that Goku threw at him. Notice that this film borrows a lot from Bio Broly. What do I mean by that? We have Goten, Trunks, Android 18, and Krillin having major fighting roles, just like how they did in Dragon Ball Z Movie 11, the third Broly movie. On top of that, think about Cell Max and Bio Broly. They're takeoffs, they're knockoffs of other characters. That is, of course, the original Cell and the original Broly. There's no way this was just a coincidence. One of my favorite Easter eggs here is from Cell Max's photon attack. This is directly stolen from Shin Godzilla, 2006's live-action classic film by Hideaki Anno, where he fires photon blasts from his dorsal fins, and they are the exact same color and look exactly like the ones that Cell Max uses in this movie. We see the failed fusion where Goten and Trunks form Fat Gotenks, and it's the first time we've ever seen Teen Fat Gotenks, obviously a throwback to Goten and Trunks' early failed fusions in Dragon Ball Z. When Gotenks is being tossed around like a volleyball to attack Cell, this is obviously a throwback to how Gotenks did the same thing to Majin Buu in Dragon Ball Z. Now he knows what it feels like to be bounced around and passed like a basketball. Krillin's Kienzan disc bounces off of Cell Max, which is exactly what happens in Dragon Ball Z when Perfect Cell is formed. Krillin then busts out the Taioken, aka the Solar Flare. If you remember back in Dragon Ball Z, Krillin used it there as well against First Form Cell to escape him. Gotenks tells Cell Max to kiss his ass, which is exactly like how Trunks told Bio Broly to do that to him in that movie. The shot of Gamma 2's sacrifice is one of the most amazing scenes in the film and is inspired directly from Ultraman. The way he flies, the way he can go into space, it's incredibly a great tribute to that classic show. Piccolo turning giant in the flashback going back to Dragon Ball is identical to how he looked in the original manga. So once again, Kubota tributes the manga in this sequence. When Orange Piccolo slams Cell Max's tail, this is a tail slam that was used by Sun Wukong in some Journey to the West films. Remember when Piccolo gave Gohan the pep talk about his power and how he has the most incredible potential? This scene mirrors what Goku told Gohan during the Cell Games battle during the Kamehameha Beam struggle with Super Perfect Cell. And don't forget that Piccolo himself gives Gohan a very similar speech at the start of his training in early Dragon Ball Z. The Piccolo vs. Cell Max Kaiju battle is awesome, especially the scene where they give themselves the double punch. This double punch is the exact same style that Blue Goku and Golden Frieza did in Dragon Ball Super in the Tournament of Power recruitment episodes. Naotoshi Shida, the very well respected and beloved animator, is responsible for both of these sequences, and he is freaking awesome. There's a ton of throwbacks and homages to the battle with Raditz. For example, there's a scene where Cell blasts off one of Piccolo's arms cleanly, and not just that, he cauterized the wound. Obviously, this is an homage to the Raditz fight, an arm for an arm. Holding up an enemy after you beat them is something Goku has done to Nappa, Birder, and now Cell Max has done it to Piccolo. This sequence right here where Gohan turns into Gohan Beast is the most obvious Easter egg of them all. It's a damn near shot-by-shot redo of when Gohan turned Super Saiyan 2 for the first time in Dragon Ball Z episode 184. When Cell Max tries to attack Gohan Beast, Gohan no-sells the punch to the body, which is very reminiscent of what happened in Dragon Ball Z Movie 5, the first Cooler movie, when Cooler punched Goku in the gut and he didn't sell a thing. Both characters were in their strongest forms at the time, just like how Cell Max and Gohan are now. Gohan's kick to Cell Max is awesome because it's a tribute to the way he kicked Cell in the Cell games when Cell turned giant. And that kick to the stomach is what led to Cell puking up Android 18 and reverting back to his second form. The giant blast that Cell Max creates here looks a lot like Frieza's giant blast when he fought Super Saiyan Goku on Namek. The biggest ball in the history of Dragon Ball has to be this one. I can't think of one that was ever this big. It actually looks like a combination of the Planet Destroyer that Frieza did with the Revenge Death Ball, and when it concentrates, it looks like a Spirit Bomb. It does resemble like a dark Genkidama, and I love the colors here because, man, it's a trip. Piccolo uses both of his arms to hold Cell for Gohan to finish him, which is literally taken from how Goku and Piccolo killed Raditz during the fight at the start of Dragon Ball Z, except that this time the roles are reversed in the sense that Piccolo is the one holding back the enemy while Gohan charges up the blast. And speaking of which, we see Gohan's blast fire off the earth exactly like how his Kamehameha that he used to kill the original Cell blasted off the earth. Don't forget also that when Vegeta did the final flash, that also happened. All of these right here are what I would call super dramatic finishes. Remember when Cell Max got all bloated and gigantic and was about to blow up? This is obviously a tribute to how Cell was in Dragon Ball Z when he also got huge and fat and was about to explode. But only one question I have, which doesn't make much sense to me. In Dragon Ball Z, Cell explains that when he explodes, the Earth would go with him. Here we have a more powerful Cell by an unbelievably large degree, and the Earth does not even blow up with him. You would think that if Cell Max explodes based on power scaling, he might take out the universe or at least a galaxy based on how strong he is. But yet, the Earth still lives. I'm not a big fan of this because Cell Max blowing up the same way that the original Cell did should have obliterated the universe, but it's still a cool scene nonetheless. So then we see another Infinity War ripoff and a blatant one. Gamma 2 getting dusted, exactly like what happened at the end of Infinity War when Thanos snaps the Infinity Gauntlet after getting all of the stones. Goten and Trunks do the fusion pose one more time, and they do it right this time, but we are robbed of seeing true adult Gotenks. Fans have wanted to see what that would look like for decades, and we got screwed. Toriyama and Toei are a bunch of trolls for teasing us like this. During the credits, what I found pretty cool is that they show storyboards and unfinished art on the left so you can look at the process of how these things were made. That's a cool idea. The final Easter egg, which is number 90, Vegeta says he finally beat Kakarot, which is something he says in many video games when Vegeta defeats Kakarot. But this does somewhat contradict what he says at the end of Dragon Ball in the Kanzenban ending when he states that someday he'll defeat Goku. But remember, this fight was done with no blasts and no transformations, and it was a sparring match, but Vegeta did get the W. With that being said, those are 90 Easter eggs in Dragon Ball Super Superhero. If you have some, drop them in the comments down below. And if you like this video, check these out as well, including the Dragon Ball Super Broly Easter eggs. There's 40 in that one, 90 in this one. Go check it out right now. Take care.